So, there's nothing I enjoy more than embarrassing people. Richard, would you please stand up? Richard's birthday yesterday was 70 years. Yes.
Yeah.
If you would all please join and stand and join us in singing "Happy Birthday" to Mr. Richard Sigler.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Richard. Happy birthday to you.
Woo! No, Richard, you may be seated. No, stay up. No, you guys got to stay. We're going to do our first song. And just as a reminder, spankings will be in the sanctuary, in the fellowship hall after the service. And with 70, we all get to participate. Please join us in our first song by Mr. Bill Withers, "Lean on Me."
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things that you need to borrow, for no one can fill all of those needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem, you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. So if there is a load that you have to bear, that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, and I'll share your load if you just call me. If you need a friend,
Call me.
call me.
Call me.
If you need a friend,
Call me.
if you ever need
Call
a friend,
me. Call me.
call me.
Call me.
Call me.
Call me.
Call me.
Call me.
If you need a friend,
Call me.
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 Call me. Thank you very, very much. If you would please now join us in our statement of faith. All together now. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. Our second song is One Heart by Denise Rosier.
And to embarrass Richard further,
Yeah!
I want
Sorry.
to thank him for sitting in on the drums.
Yes, thank you.
And also congratulate him on being a new board member.
Yes. Well, he was saying he was happy to play the drums today because he got to sit down.
Yeah.
Old joke.
Spirit is our source, our strength. We honor it with each breath we take. One heart, one mind, one power. In the name of love. In the name of love. You build the bridges, I'll tear down the walls, and we'll build a world that works for us all. One heart, one mind, one power. In the name of love. In the name of love. In the name of love, there is truth inside the life we live. Nothing else to be shine when we're living side by side. One heart, one mind, one power. In the name of love, we all face of love. Every voice is a voice of love. Every name is a name of love. We all come from a place of love. Every voice is a face of love. Every voice is a voice of love. Every name is a name of love. We all come from a place of love. Every face is a name of love. We all come from a place of love. Every name is a name of love. We all come from a place of love. One heart, one mind, one power. In the name of love.
Every voice is the voice of love.
In the name of love. In the name of love.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you feel the love? Yeah. All right. Please check in on Facebook, telling your friends that you're here. Come join us. And then silence them, please. Totally. Because you will be that beep, beep, beep during meditation. We highly recommend wearing masks for overall benefit of everyone. However, if you choose not to wear one, please respect the need for proper social distancing from others, and then including the babies and the children for sure. We thank you in advance for this. Our goal is to take action we are inspired to take to keep everyone healthy as possible and in these seats. Okay, our mission statement together. Our mission is to encourage and inspire spiritual and personal growth by empowering each other to be authentically all that we came here to be. And please join me in speaking the affirmation for today's daily word. As I take action, God's universe supports me with new opportunities. Have I prayed, and yet it seems the answer to a dilemma is not forthcoming? Then I stop and think, have I already received an answer as opportunities before me, but not taken action on them? So I listen to God's guidance, becoming aware of how to take those first action steps. Then I discover that everything in God's universe seems to align in support of my willingness to move forward. New opportunities continue to appear. I only need to take one step at a time, and God shows me the next and the next. I'm amazed at how quickly God's plan for me unfolds when I'm willing to take even the small step of action towards my goal. The scripture is Luke 12:35-36. Be dressed for action and have your lamps lit. Be like those who are waiting for their master to return from the wedding banquet, so that they may open the door for him as soon as he comes and knocks. Let's repeat the affirmation. As I take action, God's universe supports me with new opportunities. During prayer and meditation, please hold the following in prayer for their highest and best experience in life: Art, Marilyn, Graham and his family, Don, Wendy, Aaron, Linda, Mandy, Rod, Lindsay, Angie, Mary Lou, Mark, Beth, Beth's friend David, Dee, Jessica, our shelter guests, and anyone else you wish to share in your prayer. And we remember the friends and family of Richard Hostetter, whose transition was recently confirmed by the embassy in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. As Sue rings the prayer bowl, we turn our attention within to our heart space, preparing for prayer and meditation. Every week, we begin our prayer and meditation by focusing on our breathing as we eliminate the interruptive sounds and movements around us. Take a deep breath in, hold, and exhale. Focus your thoughts on your breath. Take a deep breath, hold, exhale. Again, take a deep breath, hold, exhale. It helps us to be relaxed as we center our awareness on the God of our being. We start at the top of our heads, relaxing the forehead, cheeks, jaw, and ears. Follow your relaxation down your neck and your shoulders, arms, elbows, wrists, and fingers. Deep breath, hold, and exhale. Picture the Christ presence within us. We bless and give thanks for the function of our hearts, lungs, and every organ and their function, relaxing the lower back, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, and toes. Inhale and exhale. We pray for health and healing, prosperity and abundance, love and connectiveness, guidance, and order for those whom prayer has been requested, for our friends and family, ourselves, and all people. With hearts open, we are receptive to the responsive of the divine guidance, knowing guidance may come in many unexpected ways. From the guidance we receive, we remind ourselves that we have the assurance things will unfold in magnificent and miraculous order when we take action and continue to listen to Spirit. We feel the constant presence of God's peace calming us, filling our hearts with harmony and love. We are infinitely grateful all for the blessings that flow to us, for us, and through us. And now we will enter meditation. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Hold it and release. Take another deep breath. Hold it and slowly release it. Bring your mind and awareness into this moment in time. Still your mind. Feel your body getting heavy in your chair, and let your chair totally support you. Release any tension in your jaws, neck, and shoulders and hips that may still be there. Take a deep breath. Hold it and release slowly. Imagine you have just woken up. It's so quiet this morning with only a dove soft cooing outside your window, occasionally breaking the silence. You notice it's very foggy out, blanking you in your own peaceful space. You feel like you're the only one on earth. The morning is a little dull without the sun shining, but you feel content. On days like this, your mind may even be a little foggy. It would be so easy just to stay tucked away in a warm spot and do nothing the rest of the day. You start your day with usual gratitude. There is so much to be grateful for, the little things like coffee that you're holding, or the warming of your body as you drink it, or the blankets that are keeping you warm, the roof over your head. Thank the universe for the good day you are going to have. On this day, you have the gift of some time to think and reflect. Time to assess your life and ask yourself if this is where you want to be. Where do you get your guidance? Who is there in your life to cheer you on, throw ideas off of, or listen to your dreams and your plans? To give you words of wisdom. When you get guidance, do you stop to listen to it? Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Listen. Open yourself up to that inner voice and listen. Imagine a soft white light wrapping around you like a soft blanket. How are you feeling? Open up to any guidance that comes to you. What is it telling you? Trust what you hear, see, or feel. Remember, you are safe. If you're not living your best life, why? How do you want to feel? What do you want to do? It is not enough to listen and know your dreams. You have to act on what you hear and what you feel. Always remember to be gentle with yourself. If you feel something calling to you to dance or write or paint or sing, please refuse to worry about whether you're good enough. Just do it. Your guidance in life can come from anywhere or anyone. It could be a spouse, a parent, friend, or a person who sat next to you on the park bench. You could be watching the news story about someone that has done something good in the community and you think, I could do that. Well, then do it. Never underestimate what you can bring to someone. You never know when just a smile of the stranger, looking them in the eye and saying hi could make their day. Someone actually saw them and acknowledged them. It's huge, but a simple act of kindness. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. As we go into a few minutes of silence, ask yourself, what gifts do I have to give to the world? What action do I need to take to make my life and the world a better place? And then just listen.
Thank you all for being patient with us. Jacob, our sound technician, is homesick today, so we're all playing a little bit of musical chairs, going back and forth and doing stuff. So our first song of our special is "Get Ready, My Soul" by Daniel Nabod, sung by our very own Mr. John Russ.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind. Everything I've ever done, diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
Mr. John Russ.
All right. Good morning. It's so good to see all of you here. Let me get myself. I was all prepared and then I moved. Awesome, John. Thank you so much. Honestly, that is one of my favorite songs of Daniel's. I love all of his music, but I love that song because it really does, doesn't it, just take you deeper. It's like I'm so ready to go deeper and to be more expanded. And I can't help but express my incredible gratitude to everybody who participated this past week in our crisis cold shelter when we were open for 2 daytimes. I know we're going to talk about this in the announcements. I know it was in the pre-thing, but thank you to everyone who volunteered of their time, talent, and treasure. It was an amazing experience to be part of that for 2 days. And I know that our unsheltered friends absolutely loved being here. So thank you, everybody. And this is, yes, thank you. And in fact, Lisa and Amy aren't here today because they spent the night last night. So Amy said, we don't think we're going to stay for church today. And I'm like, what? Why not? Said, of course, go home. Okay, so we are in the midst of talking about some basics with Unity, and these are Unity's 5 basic guiding principles. These principles are powerful principles for us to really get and to remember. I was on a 2-day summit with Unity Worldwide Ministries the week before last, and it was interesting because the CEO at the beginning of the summit brought up the 5 principles, and he said, well, I hope that you all know the 5 principles. And I'm like, what? Because we talk about the principles all the time. So I love that our community knows what these principles are. And if you don't know them, I'm going to help you right now. So if you will join with me in saying the 5 principles together. God is, I am, I ask, I pray, I act. And then we're going to bring them to us. God is for me. I am for me. My thoughts are for me. My prayers are for me. My releasing is for me. And my actions are for me. So today, I'm going to be sharing quite a bit from this book, The 5 Principles, by Reverend Ellen Davenport. And although these were 2 scriptures that we used last week, these scriptures really fit in with today. The first one being Job 22:28. Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways. So today we're talking about taking action, the 5th principle. Proverbs 3:5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean on not on thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. James 1:22 says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. And then Philippians 4:9 says, whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So today is action. Action is knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. And we're going to talk about this in a couple of different ways today. So Ellen Davenport says, notice that the first 4 principles are about shifting our consciousness before we take any action. You know, the God is, I am, I ask, I pray, I release. These are all about shifting, getting into our mind and shifting our consciousness. Action isn't always an outward movement. In fact, initially, action is an inner thing that we do. It's something that we do with our mind. So what do I mean by that? Anybody ever have situations show up in their life that they're like, oh, this is interesting. This wasn't what I was expecting. Has that ever happened to anybody else? I just wondered, throughout your day or, whenever. So what we want to do when those things occur, we want our first go-to to be to go back to principle. So it would be something like, God is, there is only God in this situation. Therefore, no one and nothing is against me. That in and of itself changes things, doesn't it? Because if something happens and it's outside the realm of what we were expecting and it's not necessarily a positive thing, it can feel like it's against us, right? So the very first thing is there's only one presence and one power, and it is God. And God is for me. No one and nothing is against me. The I am is all that I need to handle this situation, it's already here within me. I don't really have to go outside seeking it. The first place that I need to go is to recognize my I amness, that all of my answers are right here. And then I ask I'm going to choose to focus on good possible outcomes in this. I am going to shift my focus away from the problem, and I'm going to focus on good possible outcomes. I pray thank you, God, for guiding me in the highest and best ways in this situation, and then I release. I release this, and I let go. So you see there, the action was actually mind action, and that's really what that's about, the law of mind action. Now, Ellen reminds us that we cannot not live within principle. That whether we know it or not, whether anybody knows it or not, we're always living within principle because we are all divine expressions of God. And so we can never truly live outside of principle. The idea here is to wake up and become conscious and to become aware and to, again, be the co-creator in this expression that we call life. And Karen Craigo did a great class this morning at 9:15 on creation, if you get a chance to go back and listen to that. So we're creating all the time with our main focus. So here's the question for you. Do you look at life as my cup is half full or my cup is half empty? Do you look at life as life is for me, or do you use the saying, it just figures that this would happen to me? Do you say my life is good and it just keeps getting better? Or do you say, when is the other shoe going to drop? So I want to tell you about that little saying, because I'm always curious where sayings come from, so I looked it up last night. When is the other shoe going to drop? So the story is that there was a man who lived in a second-floor apartment, and he worked a late shift, so he would get home at 1 or 2 in the morning. He would go into his bedroom, and he had work boots, and he would take his work boots off and plop one on the floor, plop the other on the floor. And finally, one day, his neighbor came up at like 2 in the morning, knocking on his door and said, would you please stop whatever you're doing? And the guy felt really bad because he didn't know, he wasn't realizing that was affecting the neighbor. And he said, absolutely, absolutely. So the very next night, the guy upstairs gets home from work, and he forgets initially, so he drops that first one on the floor, and then he remembers, so he gently places the other one on the floor. Well, about 2 hours later, the neighbor comes up and he knocks on the door and he goes, when are you going to let the other shoe drop? So the idea there was that the other guy was looking for a problem. So I think those things are so interesting. Okay, Ellen Davenport says, reminds us that we are always in prayer without ceasing, and that we are communing, and I love how she says this, with an exquisitely responsive universe of abundant good. Now imagine that in any situation that comes up in your life, you remember that. You remember that I'm communing with an exquisitely responsive universe of abundant good. Wouldn't that just shift how you handle situations in your life? Absolutely, and that's where we want to get more and more and more. She says the goal is to live again consciously in that awareness and take action as guided by our inner being. And then she goes on to say that living the truth, this aspect of living the truth, is more about being than it is about doing. And she says it's how we show up for whatever we choose to do, whether we are a business executive, a stay-at-home mom, a nurse, a teacher, a doctor, a homeless wanderer, whatever we are, that we want to recognize that it's how we show up is what matters. That's when we're truly living the truth. And she says when we are living the truth, any action that we take will be from a consciousness of that where our ego then is in service to our soul. Any of us ever feel like our ego is not always in service to our soul? Anybody ever get in that ego head part? Yeah. And you guys, that's normal in our humanity. You know, this is not a thing that we're going to beat ourselves up for it. It's just this opportunity for us to awaken more and more and more and recognize and really immerse ourselves in these truths and in these principles. So she said the 5 principles give us some really great steps to take us from our ego to our soul, from living unconsciously to living in an awareness of truth. So she said the first 4 principles give us a handy checklist before taking action, and I love these. So the first thing when something comes up is, do I affirm divine intelligence and love in this situation? Do I go to God first, no matter what is happening? Now, I can tell you, I don't always get there immediately. Because my ego comes in there and my crazy mind comes in there. But I get there because I'm committed to that. The second thing is, do I remember my own divinity and that of others involved? That's a big one, isn't it? Because when someone is showing up less than maybe their ego is out of control, it's interesting to look and say, yeah, they are beloved children of God. They're just divine beings. But that's where we want to get, because that is who everyone is. The third one is, do I take responsibility for attracting this situation into my experience, but even more so, and know that its outcome for me will match my thoughts and feelings about it? I always say our point of power is in the present moment. No matter what has occurred, no matter what we feel like we've attracted into our lives, our point of power is right now. And where am I focusing my intention right now when it comes to whatever is showing up? And then, have I aligned myself with God, the universe, the good, and received guidance before I act? Big one. Because, boy, it's easy to have that, something happens and whoosh, we're in there and we're saying things that maybe we're kind of sorry for later that we said, or we're taking actions and we're like, in hindsight. Again, I'm never about beating ourselves up. I always see these as opportunities for growth, opportunities for revealing and getting back to principle. But these are really great questions to ask ourselves. She reminds us that any action that feels forced or feels emotional or that we're trying to manipulate is probably not an action that is in alignment with principle. That generally acting in principle will usually bring you a sense of peace. The saying that I use is that I know that I know that I know. There's something in me that, and it's usually here, that knows that it's right for me. And the thing about this, and she said it's not stubbornly exerting your will, but it is going to the beat of your own drum. And this really is in alignment with our mission statement. This is about really standing in our own authenticity. And guess what? Your authenticity is not supposed to be like anybody else's authenticity. Nobody else can really give you the answer for you. Oh, we try, don't we? Yeah. And have you ever listened to other people's advice and not your own gut? And found that you've gone in a direction that wasn't really for you? Yeah, today is about really getting in touch with what your inner self is saying to you, what your inner self is guiding you to. So the example that Ellen shares is she has a friend whose name is Laura. And she said she and Laura share the same principles. They have the same goal of having great health in their life, but it shows up differently for them. So for example, for Ellen, for her, that means getting regular checkups. That means going to the doctor, to a Western doctor. But Laura avoids doctors whenever she can because she doesn't want to go looking for trouble. She said they're both practicing principle, and they both believe that the universe responds to their energetic vibration. But Laura vibrates with health when she assumes that everything is okay, and she kind of ignores her aches and pains. But for Ellen, she said the aches and pains would bring her stress. And so she vibrates with health by taking action, by going to the doctor. For Laura, getting medical tests will stir up resistance, but each of them have found their own way to be able to vibrate that essence of health. And I think this is so important for us to recognize here, because it's not ours to judge what somebody else does. It's not ours to try to make somebody else wrong. And I'll tell you, in New Thought, like us, we have people that want to make people wrong for going down the Western medicine road, don't we? I've been shamed in the past for that by people, and they're well-intentioned. But stop it. Stop it. So let's talk about masks for a moment. So the other day, I was here, and somebody came up to me and said, "Why are you wearing a mask?" And I was kind of shocked, and I said, "Because I believe in them." And the response was, "Well, it's all consciousness." And the way it came across was like, "You're living in fear." And I said, "Well, I have health insurance, I have life insurance, I wear a seatbelt, I take vitamins. And I'll tell you, when I'm taking my vitamins, I'm not thinking, oh my God, I got to take these vitamins or I'm going to die. And I'm not putting my seatbelt on going, oh my God. It's not even a thought. But it gives me that peace of mind. And, the bigger picture is not wearing a mask works for this person, but wearing a mask works for me. And I'll tell you, the reason I wear a mask, number one, is for other people, because there's a lot of stuff going around. And it does help that. But it gives me peace of mind. And I wear my N95 mask now because there's so much stuff going around. But it's okay. Whatever you choose, that's up to you. Let's not make each other wrong for it. Let's not make each other bad for it or judge each other for it. So let's talk for a few moments about how do we receive guidance? How does that show up for us individually? So I'm going to share a few personal examples, and I'm going to share some examples that some of our community shared with me. So I used to work at O'Reilly's in their training center, and I loved my job for the time that I had it, but there came a point at which I knew that I wanted to do something else. So this was in 1994, and I created my little treasure map, my vision board. I'm a treasure mapper, or I write out my vision of what I wanted to experience in my job. And I got a call from the church here, from the minister that was here then, telling me that he and his wife were going to move to Colorado, and his wife was a secretary, and asked me if I wanted to be the secretary. And my first thought, my ego, went, no, I don't think that's the job for me. Thank you very much anyway. However, this niggling happened, this kind of thing that kept saying, you at least need to look into this. And so I did, And on February 14th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I started my job here as the secretary in the administrative office. Well, the story doesn't end there. So throughout that time, we had a minister, didn't have a minister, had a minister, didn't have a minister. I platformed all the time. I guest spoke at different times. Different people would say, you should be the spiritual leader. And I would sit in my office, in the administrative office, and look over at that minister's office and go, no way, that is too big of a job for me. That's not going to happen. And one day, the CEO from Unity Worldwide Ministries came to guest speak here, and he asked me if he could take me to lunch. And at lunch, he said, we all know that you are the person to lead this spiritual community, and people in your community know that. And I'm like, but I'm not even a licensed teacher yet. And he said, it's not a problem. We have a special dispensation. You can get your licensed teacher, and we can give you the special dispensation. And so the first guidance came through kind of this niggling in me. The second guidance came through a person that literally just showed up in my life. The other one that I want to share is that a few years ago, Paul and I went on my sabbatical. We went west and, went out to the national parks, and he took me to the high mountains. Some of you may remember those stories of because I have a true fear of heights. But one day, and it was just so interesting, I'm standing outside and just surrounded by nature, and this overwhelming feeling just hit me like, wherever you guys end up living, you need to have nature. And we had talked about getting a house, but we had only gone and looked at one. We never talked about it again, and that was it. I came home. A few days later, it was just like something just said, go look on Zillow. Now, Zillow is kind of a hub for houses that are for sale. I look on Zillow. This house comes up, and it backs up to the Greenway Trail. Now, anybody who knows Paul, he is an avid bicyclist, and my mind went, boom. So I call him, do you want to go look at this house? So conveniently, as a son who's a real estate guy, we go and look at the house. Our backyard literally backs up to county land, which is the Greenway Trail. On the right side of our yard, in 30 seconds, we're on the Greenway Trail. And we get there, and just outside our backyard, there were deer. And it's like, and we have deer and wild turkey and birds and squirrels, and we have all kinds of things. And it was that just intuitive hit. Get up and go to the computer and look at this. So I want to share with you some of the guidance from other people in our community. Karen Crego shared that her sister's partner, it got so bad that she had to get an order of protection against this partner, and she had to start working 2 jobs to be able to support herself. So one of her jobs was as a waitress, and one was working in the gas station. And she was really bereft. She was really feeling hopeless. It was overwhelming, where her life had gotten. And one day, someone came in and sat in her section, and she said that this woman had what could only be described as a visible aura, sort of a silver glow around her. She was a beautiful older woman with long gray blonde hair. Anyways, the woman told her that she had traveled a long way and knew that she needed to stop at this restaurant and sit in that booth. And she told Brenda that everything was going to be okay. And when she left, she included a large tip in a card in an envelope and with a special verse on it. And it's this verse. No, it's not that verse. I did want to tell you, just remind you, if you're not on our Unity of Springfield connection group, please, we would love to have you on that, in which we have up here, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you. Plans, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And the guidance was just telling her to hold on. And it really made a difference for her sister to have gotten this message. So that guidance came for a woman who was guided to stop at this restaurant, and then it came through another human being. Karen also shared that her ex-husband, he had died by hanging. And she said the interesting thing is sometimes she likes to get her cards read, and the hanged man comes up more frequently than statistically probable. And she says, I sometimes get a reading just so Chuck can visit and reassure me. The card has a lot of meanings, but one of them is metamorphosis, and I see him as being there for me through it. From the other side, we get guidance from our loved ones. And Simone shared that when she can't decide on something or she's worried about something, that her mom always sends her a penny to let her know that it's going to be okay. And she said, I know how blessed I am. If I ever doubt, volunteering at the shelter helps to bring me back to gratitude. Clay shared that around 3 years ago, he was in school at OTC earning the Behavioral Health Associate of Science degree that he needed to obtain employment in the mental health field, and he had become discouraged by circumstances that affected his attitude to the point of seriously considering quitting his program of study. But he was fortunate to be assigned to a practicum preceptor. He was a perceptor too, who was savvy enough to encourage him to persevere and make some changes, including some amends. And these actions made it possible for him to reach his goal to help those who are adversely affected by mental illness and addiction. So again, his guidance came through a human being in the flesh. I like to say, got some human beings, people with skin on. Sometimes we have people who don't have skin on guiding us, and then people have skin on. Dwayne Koppler said, and I love this, and on his first date with Mary, who has since made her transmission, he said, the very first time I touched her hand, a clear, firm voice told me, you're going to marry this woman. He said, being, I thought, determined to never get married, I was shocked about 5 months later that we were married. And we've probably all had those something in us. It's like a voice. And sometimes it is a voice, but for me, it's more of just like a knowing. It's like, but I would call it a voice. That's something that it like literally tells me something. Matt Cole Masters said, when he was younger, a short lady clothed in blue light stuck her finger under his nose while he was in bed, telling him that God had a purpose for him. Isn't that cool? Jane Tyndall said years ago, the then minister told her to always go with her gut feelings, and she said those words have helped her to this day. And Beth Delange said when she was debating leaving her job of 6 years due to unfortunate circumstances, she leaned into people and she leaned into the divine. Then a few months later, she landed her current job, which gives her so much more flexibility and the ability to be here on Sundays. And she's now, one of our board members as well. She said the guidance was a great thing and the key that unlocked the door to almost 4 years of happiness at her job. And the last one is from Dee Richardson, who is sick today. But she said, for some time I had felt overwhelmed by the responsibility of home ownership maintenance. Yet it wasn't until late last summer that it occurred to me that I could sell my house and move. Guidance from Spirit. I had always known I would want to move to Kelly Green's apartments on South National, only 5 blocks north of my home and still less than a mile to 2 of my 4 kids, and they allow dogs. I called to see about availability, and they assured me they would not have anything until April, and maybe not even then. They wouldn't even put her name on the wait list. But from time to time, once a month, she would check on their website, and she would study the floor plans, and she knew she wanted a 2-bedroom, 1 bath on the ground floor. Just so happened in mid-September, and guess what? 2-bedroom, 1 bath available on her birthday, November 2nd. She called to see if it was a ground floor, and it was. She went to see the model immediately, and when she left, she had written a check for all the deposits with the move-in date of November 5th. She had a lot of purging to do after 60 years of home ownership. She got the name of a handyman from Norma Vincent and started some minor repairs. After she moved into her apartment, she put the house on the market, and it sold for more than the asking price in 1 day. So again, that beautiful guidance from Spirit. And I think our thing is to trust it. Is to trust that whatever is moving us, that we can trust that gut feeling. Are we going to get it right all the time? Probably not, because we're learning how to listen to that. And that's okay. Again, there's no failure, there's only feedback. And the more that we allow ourselves to lean into and to trust that, the more that we are going to just have days when I just have so many days when I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the little things that happen that I'm just in awe of how this all works. So be open to your guidance. So I want to close with the last couple paragraphs that Ellen Davenport reminds us. And living the truth is, again, it's a broader, bigger thing. So she says, putting principle into action starts as an inside job. To bring peace to the world, be peaceful. That means not yelling at the kids or the dogs or whatever, or making obscene gestures at other drivers. It means patience in the grocery line, even if the person in front of you clearly has more than 10 items for the express checkout. You don't have to find a solution for the Middle East to contribute peace to the planet. If enough people begin to be peaceful, peace will erupt on earth just as violence does now. If you want to practice principle beyond your own home, try seeing the divinity in other people. Do this. Make it a conscious point to go out in your day and practice seeing and remembering the divinity. It's powerful. Try treating each person you meet as a Messiah in disguise. Try taking responsibility for what you have created in your life and what your family, your city, country, and the human species have created together. Try spending some time alone to remember your connection to spirit and move ego aside to let the divine flow through you. And lastly, we know from Principle 3 that what we focus on expands. That means we can live the truth merely by focusing. Focus on peace and harmony in your workplace. Focus on love in your family. See whether it makes a difference, and it will. If nothing else, you're adding peace and love to the one mind, thought by thought, and it adds up. I promise you that every act of peace, every act of kindness, every act of choosing to see the divinity, every good word that you say, it matters, my friends. It matters, and together we are creating a world that works for all. Don't give up. Don't give up, because it's happening. So this week, your homework is to follow your own, follow the beat of your own drummer, follow your own star, follow your own guidance, and do what you can to live the principles out loud. And your life will change, and the world will change. And I say to you, namaste, namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so as our band is coming up, a time in our service to move into the opportunity to give of our treasure. And there are many ways you can give. We do encourage you, if you can, to give through our Tithely app or through your bank account on a regular basis. That way when you're not here. And thank you to everybody. Our whole budget thing has shifted from what we bring in on a Sunday morning to what comes in on a regular basis. And what a difference it is making for this ministry to have that. But let's take our gift in our hand, or the energy of our gift in our hand, and let's bless it together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And thank you, God.
Mitch is coming up to the stage. We're going to do What Kind of World, another Daniel Nahmod song that's kind of all about what Sue just talked about.